Can you imagine getting a phone call in the morning that your baby has been born and that it's time to go to the hospital and you weren't even expecting a match? That's exactly the story of Matt and Kenzie, and they're going to share it with us today. Join me in welcoming Matt and Kenzie to the show. Kinsey and Matt, thank you so much for being willing to join us tonight. We're really appreciative of your time.
Yeah, we're happy to be here. Help any way we can.
Awesome. Well, I'd love if you would take just a minute to share a little bit about yourselves with the audience so they can get to know you as we get to understand your adoption journey a little bit more.
Well, my name's Kinsey. I am a home health physical therapist assistant and a full-time photographer.
And I'm Matt. I am a high school science teacher, and I do other things in the school. But yeah, I'm a high school science teacher.
That's awesome. And I know we met each other a year-ish ago. I forget now how long it's been.
Yeah, I think it was about a year ago. Yeah.
Was it? Well, and I know that we met through actually Lucrease Bundy. She had, I think, shared my contact information with you. And I think the world of Lucrease. I think she's amazing at what she does.
Really
but I'd love for you to share just a little bit about kind of your background and in the adoption journey. All right. So kind of where were you when you met Lucrease, and then really kind of how everything kind of transpired to ultimately bringing home your baby girl.
Right. So we started the process in 2020, we went through and did our home study. We actually spoke to Lucrease like prior to even us getting married, prior to even like starting the process.
Wow.
And we kind of knew what we needed, but we didn't know like agency wise how that worked and things like that. So we knew like first and foremost, we had to get a home study. And once we had that, we kind of had a couple different like thought processes of agency wise who we wanted to use. And we chose one, paid the fee. It was a small fee. It turned out actually to be a scam, which is awful. Yeah, I know. And then later we found another one. It took, tons of phone calls. And we found one based out of Colorado. And we were very comfortable with them. They kept up to date, like paperwork stuff. They were constantly sending us emails when it came to like when certain things were due, paperwork wise on both of us. But when it came to their, availability of birth moms, versus how many families were on the waiting list, it was quite a bit. They would get a mom, in their agency once, maybe every 6 months, if that. So we weren't getting a ton of like emails or calls or anything like that. So we never got to experience being chosen or any of those things with the agency side. And so we had been with them for about 2 years, and Matt can agree. We kind of were like, all right, we've hit this like roadblock. Yeah. Like what is our next step? Yeah. And I had gotten an email from Lucrease because she had started doing kind of like group emails, and she's, had us join a, just like a Facebook group, and talking about adoption and her adoption program that she has to kind of help you go through those stages of trying to either match by yourself, learning if like hiring a consultant or, and that's how we got your name, is that Lucrease brought us in that road and avenue. I lost my train of thought, but, so that was kind of, it took a couple of years, but we finally kind of figured that we wanted to try to self-match. And then, that brought us to you. And that, it was a great experience. We got to kind of relive some of the cool things about our lives and our family, and find all the pictures. And we had a good time actually writing all of the things that you needed.
everything to create your profile. It is some work creating a profile. It is. But I love to hear that you thought that that was a fun experience, because it is about, just telling the story of your family and what you guys love to do. And you being a photographer, you had some amazing.
I had lots of options.
Yeah.
It was really awesome. So you and I worked together to create your profile. And so since you were kind of considering self-matching or moving into self-matching at that stage, and then you started sharing your profile. So what happened once you started sharing your profile?
We actually, like, maybe a week after kind of you gave us all the paperwork, we started that process of like posting on the Facebook groups. Within a week, I feel like I had gotten a text message from a potential birth mom. We actually spoke to her for a couple of weeks. And, it took some, I don't know how do we want to put this? So it just didn't feel right. It didn't
click. But like, and I feel like that's part of the process, is that like, you're going to have those situations where like, you know what, like, and what she was in Indiana. So like, we were like 10 hours away, 11 hours away. Like, so, and like, just, it didn't click. It didn't feel right for us. And so we sort of like that contact sort of drifted, but it was one of those deals where like, we were actually
having a conversation
and it's, when you go through an agency, they handle some of that. And even I guess, you don't have to worry about it clicking with an agency. But that being said, like, we had nothing through our agency. At least, like, it was sort of like, okay, now we're actually having conversations with these birth moms who want to give their babies up for adoption
or learn more about us.
So like, that was kind of, I don't know. It was hard because it didn't quite work out, but at least it was
moving in the right direction.
That's right.
Progress in so long.
And so it was a very positive thing for us.
Yeah.
Even though it was negative on the birth mother's side, it made us feel better that it's like, okay, it's not us that's the roadblock. There's other things that we're having seen.
And honestly, finding out that early into a connection that it's just really not a good fit for both parties is the best thing ever, right? Because the last thing you want to have happen is you get all the way to hospital time, right? Or even thereafter, and either party start having doubts of, is this really the right fit? Am I equipped to parent this child? Can I, keep up my commitments to this birth parent that I've, committed to for life, right? So as hard as it does feel, it is, because listen, I've lived the other way where the birth parent has changed their mind, right? And it's awful, it's gut wrenching. But when I look back on it, it's a blessing in disguise, right? Because it was leading me to my children, to my, that I have now, right? So you connected with her, and then what happened from there?
So we had stopped communication with her, and basically, I started the process of like reposting things. I had, set up on our Facebook and our Instagram, kind of the automatic posts that you had set up. Real neat, by the way. I like that. And so I was having those, go on quite a bit. And so a lot of our friends and family were seeing us constantly post. And I'm going to start crying too. It was the morning of November 9th of last year. God, I can't get through it.
So you cry, I'm crying. That's for sure.
Oh my gosh. One of my friends who's an occupational therapist, who they had adopted 2 years prior. They have a baby girl, but they did it on the agency side. So they matched pretty quickly in their process. They only waited about 6 months total. And so she knew that we were changing our avenues, not necessarily going through the agency. And she called us that morning, probably about 5 a.m. and said, my sister helped deliver a baby. The mom, did not want to parent. And they were wondering, about if anyone was available to adopt. And they initially reached out to my occupational therapist friend, thinking that she would be able to adopt the baby. But she goes, no, our paperwork isn't up to date, but I know someone. Yeah. And so she gave the birth mother's mother, so our daughter's grandma, our information, and she called us, and that's, and then we, the baby was already born. Wow. And so we, made the process of going to the hospital and everything. And it was a wild ride that day.
It was a wild Wednesday morning.
Yeah. Random Wednesday.
Woke up ready to go to work and was like, oh, hey, well, I should probably call in, I guess. And then all of a sudden, our whole world it was changed. Yeah. And it was, it was definitely something else.
Yeah.
So,
and we were actually, on the flip side, because it was in the same area, Lucrece actually, got to help on the other end.
Yes.
So I didn't realize that as our photographer.
That would be you.
We did not get to hire her as our lawyer that we initially wanted to, but we were able to connect her with our birth mother.
Yeah. And actually, it was, I will say, just already having an attorney sort of ready to go. Had we not, it actually would have been likely
a totally different process.
She would have gone probably into foster care, and it's almost guaranteed we would have never seen her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so having an attorney ready to go was actually kind of a huge thing, because Lucrece is like, okay, well, I need to get there now. Mm-hmm. And I need to and she did. She was boom. Yeah. She got to the hospital, clear everything up with the hospital staff, and it was, she was then hired to handle the birth mother and her side of things, which obviously, she did an amazing job, just kind of making sure everything went well. But it was
and really supported our birth mother.
It was,
she didn't feel like we were pressuring her, because honestly, we had never met them. We had no connection with them whatsoever. And so, that was kind of hard, because I didn't, we really didn't know how to communicate with them. So I think Lucrece did a great job of just reassuring that, I've known this couple. Yeah. I know that they are, they've done the work. Mm-hmm. They are ready. They are a strong family. And so, I think just all the connections have been really positive for us.
It was really, it was very nice.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And what an amazing story. I too had an unexpected daughter arrive in my world. And you're right, that phone call just kind of turns everything upside down, to your point of I thought I was going to teach kids today, and going to hospital today.
And go hang out with my old patients. And
that's quite fun to really kind of, move everything around so quickly. So talk to us about what that experience was like when you went to the hospital, and then when you were, allowed, were you in the same state, or you were in different states? And
we were same state.
So state. Okay.
That was actually the other thing.
That was so amazing. Yeah.
We, it was a very busy day. Because we woke up at 5 a.m. At one point we did talk to, our daughter's grandma, and she basically, we talked for a little bit, and then
trying to get to know each other.
And then she was like, well, why don't you come out to the hospital and meet your daughter? And it was
Wow.
That was kind of crazy. And the hospital sort of, they had procedures that they were trying to go through and figure out, which was part of the concern that our daughter may have ended up going into foster care instead of us being, because they were
small rural hospital that situation doesn't happen very often.
They were just trying to sort of follow the right procedures. And so it was so we actually luckily had friends in the area. So we were able to, the hospital was like, listen,
you can't be here.
Which is fine. Which, they were just trying to follow their procedures, which is fine. So we were able to go hang out. We went to Walmart and I
was like, you know what? Just in case, let's just go buy stuff.
We were ready to adopt, but we had nothing. We weren't ready to adopt that day.
Yeah. Right.
No preparation. So it's like we were walking around Walmart and I'm just like throwing things in the cart. I mean, this is his first child.
Yeah. So I was
he's like, all right, just put it in the cart. I don't know.
In the headlights. I don't know what to do. And so and there was a lot of downtimes. There were some stressful waits, but eventually Lacrice got a hold of us. She went and smoothed everything out. Sorry, our dog is going crazy.
Oh no.
Underneath the coffee table that's holding up our laptop. So it's not great. But it was just a very, there was stress and a hope and fear, and it was all sort of mixed together. Oh my gosh.
You're fine.
Really excited.
The puppy loves Marley, by the way.
Yeah.
But she's a big dog, so she has to be home. So anyway. It was kind of crazy. But then when Lacrice called and was like,
okay, now you can come up to the hospital.
And when we got to go, and oh my gosh, just meeting her was she was so little.
Oh, she was. Oh, 6 pound nothing,
Yeah.
Was she?
Oh yeah.
6'8", right? 6 pounds, 8 ounces.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
She was tiny. And but from day one, she was just so calm.
Mm-hmm.
So just peaceful. So
and we got to have her for about an hour to an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. Because it was such a small town hospital. We got to be in another birthing suite, whereas the mom was, the birth mom was in very couple doors down. There was only 4 or 5 suites there. Yeah. And, birth grandma was coming in and kind of showing us pictures of her family, and we were trying to get to know them. We still really didn't have a conversation with our birth mom. There was other medically things going on and didn't feel comfortable. And then, a short period of time, they said, we're going to leave the hospital. And they were like, but we want to say goodbye. And so they took her back out, which was totally fine. Yeah. We understood the situation, but no one spoke to us for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was.
That's so hard.
It was the longest hour and a half of our lives. And we didn't know what to do. The nurses were focused where they needed to be focused.
Yeah.
We didn't want to bug the family because it wasn't in our place to do that. And we wanted the relationship to be strong with our birth mom. We didn't want to feel like she was rushed or any of those things.
And for us, we have an open adoption, and we feel that is very important. Especially as our daughter starts to get older, to understand where she came from, mm-hmm. and be able to see her. So for us, it was we don't want to be pushy, because you don't want to start that relationship like that. Like, oh my goodness. I remember a couple of times like walking out to go get
like a drink of water,
just so like, is there an emotion? Is there, it was, but at the end of that, they brought her back in. We got to meet
the birth mom. Finally, she came in there. And we got to tell her the name that we had chosen for our daughter. Because we'd had the name for years. Like we were ready with that. So we were able to like introduce her to, her birth daughter.
Yeah.
And it was a good thing. So we were able to kind of like hug her, not necessarily have a conversation with her. Since then we have seen her. But in that first night, like we were the only family in the birth area. And so we got to spend the night there at the hospital, and we were the only ones there. Very small hospital.
Yeah.
So it was good. And, we got to bond with her, and so it was a good experience.
It was great.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that Lucrece was able to get there and really get the paperwork going. I oftentimes, coach people. I'm like, listen, it's really important that you take a copy of those documents with you to the hospital, because you never know, like you may end up in a very rural hospital, just like what you described. Yeah. And this may be the first time someone's ever interacted with an adoption.
And they didn't fully know what to do. And like they were doing their best to handle it. But like, it was, I am so grateful that we had already made contact with Lucrece and that she was able to just like, boom, take care of it. Because otherwise we wouldn't have a daughter.
We would not be in the same place. Yeah.
We would. Yeah. So, well, maybe we would, but like, I mean,
but it was
just good.
But it was kind of a fun experience because, we did have to tell some, like our parents, because they had to. I have children from my first marriage, and so they had to get picked up from school because it was a random Wednesday.
Hey, by the way,
hey, we're somewhere, and we have a baby. And they were like, what?
Yeah.
So it was kind of fun being able to like call all our friends on FaceTime and like, hi.
My sister burst into tears.
Yeah.
Like when we called
like, why
her,
is she calling me right now?
When we called her and she just burst. It was so much fun to basically show off our daughter to our friends and family. And we...
Oh, and the boys just were so excited.
And
couldn't get over, couldn't contain. And so I have a picture, like I screenshotted the picture when we were like FaceTiming. It's like first family photo.
and it's, I mean, it's worth saying, like here in Nebraska, like there's a 48-hour period where the birth mom can change her mind. So we didn't make it like fully public until like after that. But there, you gotta tell some people.
Oh yeah.
Like and so like a lot of people knew, but we held off on like making it like fully official until we got the official word. But it was, it was just, it was a Wednesday. I took the rest of the week off. Luckily I work, in a district where they're very
understanding,
very family friendly.
And my job too.
And so I will never forget those 3 days of just getting to spend time with that little baby, oh
my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So from when you started sharing your profile from social media, you said within a week you got kind of your first connection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. About how long after that do you think it was until your daughter was born? You have a rough.
So we had the communication like a week after I had posted stuff. We had been speaking to the birth mother from Indiana for 2.5, maybe 3 weeks total.
Yeah.
We had Matt and I had a conversation like this isn't where we need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And we had stopped it prior. And my oldest son had a birthday at the end of October, and we were at a birthday party. Like I just kind of remember that like the weekend, the weekend before. And so there was only about a week and a half between the time that we stopped our conversation to her being born.
Yeah.
And that it's just weird because it's just like we had nothing for 3 years. So
and
it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy looking at pictures.
Go get it.
Yeah, the dog. Sorry, hold on.
You're fine.
We may need to pause.
Yes. I'll take a drink of water while we pause. I almost lost it. I was like biting my lip and all the things. Are you talking about your daughter? And I was just like, I'm going to start to cry. Nope. I was like pinching my knee underneath my desk here.
Every time I tell like my patients about it, because a lot of my patients know the occupational therapist because like we work together. And so, explaining that it like brings tears to my eyes like every time because like she and I, have like a fabulous relationship, like a work relationship. And now like we started the adoption process together. Like we have the same social worker for our home study. And so like we were able to kind of bond in that side of things, but they got matched a lot earlier than us. And, they were in a position that they were able to spend more money than what we could. That was just never going to be in the cards for us.
Some of those agencies, the level of financial commitment that is required. We
couldn't match that. Yeah. So, they matched a lot quicker. But now we have this other bond. Like we will continually be close to her and her family. What's like also really cool. She had called us about 2 or 3 months ago. And it's not weird for her to call us or anything like that, but it called us and she goes, Kinsey, when was your daughter born? Crazy thing. Our daughter was born on like National Adoption Day. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And then, we had told her like November 9th and she goes, I'm due with a baby on November 9th. Her and her husband were unable to conceive. And so that's why they went the adoption route for their second child. And out of nowhere, she got pregnant and it's like super miracle pregnancy.
Wow.
And she's due, like her due date is on our daughter's birthday.
Wow.
So like that, the full circle of things, like, God put her in our lives and then rewarded her.
Yeah. With a baby.
So
yeah. Goodness, I'm definitely going to cry now. The full body chills went through.
I
don't know.
She's like our daughter is absolutely beautiful and perfect. And the boys have bonded so well with her. And it's just amazing. It's been amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I would love for you to just close us out. So one, thank you for sharing everything. But I'd love for you to close us out by just sharing anything you'd like to with hopeful adoptive families that are sitting there in that spot, right? That have been waiting maybe a week, a month, 3 years, right? With their agency or in their own journey. Yeah. What would you want them to hear? What do you remember as you reflect on your journey that you think would be helpful for them?
I mean, the big thing for us is that we didn't give up hope that we needed to put all our eggs in one basket. You know, being able to reach out and find other groups and having that connection to be able to find having the connection, like reaching out to like Facebook groups and seeing what's working for them, and you know, being able to connect with other people as well, like such as yourself and Lucrece, you know, really helped us feel like it's not over. Our journey is not over. There are other ways to adopt. It may not look like what you thought it originally was going to, but you know, if you can, try everything you possibly can. Don't give up on that hope, because like we had hit that, like with our agency, we had stopped that hope with that agency. And with that, like my husband and I were able to kind of have a conversation. It's like, all right, what's our plan B? What do we want to do? And that's when we finally were able to reach out with Lucrece, she kind of has this like adoption program and connects you with other people. And that's how we got connected with you. And, you know, it was a really good experience to try to do things more on our own. You know, another avenue that we kind of thought about was like the foster to adopt, but you could foster through like people that had already given out their rights, like already given away their rights. And so we kind of looked in that too, and just kind of, you know, it opened the line of communication between Matt and I. And that would have never happened if we were like, nope, we're just going to stay with this agency. We're never, you know, we're not going to keep pushing towards our goal. You know, if it feels like it's not going anywhere, maybe you've got to just try something different. And, you know, sometimes the something different does have a price tag to it, but in the ultimate goal, like, you know, that's it. It's nothing. Like,
And I think it's like, for us, our communication was so important, but like, I have a friend who I worked with last summer before our daughter came along. And he actually adopted, and he would keep telling me, because he knew that we were trying, he would keep telling me, I don't remember before and he's a little bit older. He'd be like, I don't even remember my life before I adopted her. And like, I kind of understood what he was saying, but I didn't fully understand what he was saying. But I don't remember my life before I adopted my baby. Like, I now fully get it. And I think it's important that like we waited so long, and there was, you know, there are financial expectations at different points along the path. But honestly, I don't remember any of that. All of that is so much in the past, because when I look into her eyes, when she smiled, like when I pick her up from the babysitter, or, you know, she's been spending time with our parents, and she sees me and she looks at me and smiles, and
it's just amazing.
None of the stuff that came before matters anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, that's so it can be hard, and it's work, and it takes work.
It
like,
does.
It's effort.
Yeah.
But the payoff is it's more than you can imagine.
It's just like
imagine.
Creating a whole new family element. And it's been really beautiful to be able to see my boys and you know, my boys with her, and how they are just overwhelmed with happiness, because they had been waiting too.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they are super happy. So, you know, keep the communication open between, you and your partner. How do you want to do this? And I think, part of it is in your home study, you start that communication process, but don't stop. And I think part of what happened while we were in the agency, we had stopped communicating and just only doing the paperwork side of things. And once we started communicating and starting the other avenues that we did, it really opened up our eyes of like what we wanted our adoption to look like. Yeah. How do we want to continue it going? And that really, it's been really positive for Matt and I.
So
that's amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you again for being willing to share your story with our community. I know that so many people will find value in it, and I hope that they find hope and inspiration in it, just to keep hanging in there and to put themselves really in the driver's seat, right? You got to take consistent action. You got to be willing to do the work, because in the end, it absolutely is worth it. But we appreciate you guys sharing your story. Thank you so much.
We were very thankful for you, and your team worked amazing. And, the things that you created for us were absolutely beautiful. And it was very well thought out of how we wanted to do things. And I think that level of detail is amazing. And I hope that other people, I actually know, like, someone found me on Instagram and is now using you. I don't know, I haven't seen that they've posted anything, but they had reached out to us because we had used you. And so, like, I was able to make that connection, and it's really cool. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it is a small world. As I tell everybody, my hobby is helping families tell their story so they can make their family, right? It's just what I love to do. But it's awesome it's amazing when I have awesome clients like you guys, because it just makes it much easier. And it gives me hope to keep going, right? It's worth getting up at 3 a.m. to work on those profiles, because I get to see babies. I get to stalk your social and watch the babies grow up. And for me, that's quite a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Of course, anytime.
I think there are a few key lessons that we can learn from Matt and Kenzie's story. First of all, they were not giving up. They were really committed to their adoption journey, and they were willing to put in the work and try different ways of sharing their profile so that they could ultimately match with their expectant parent. Second, they followed a proven path of sharing their profile in multiple different ways with frequency and asking their friends and family to do the same. That ultimately led them to the connection point with the expectant parent that chose them to place her daughter for adoption. And third, they formed a lifelong relationship with their expectant parent based in respect and trust, and honoring the space that she needed during their time in the hospital, which ultimately has led to a really great relationship today. Listen, my friend, I know that adoption is hard. I know that it can be scary and it can be long, but remember, there are proven paths that you can follow, and I'm here to give you all the support that you need in your adoption journey every step of the way. If you're looking for more information around the proven path to follow, check out this video, because I know it will be helpful.